temas que en tu iglesia no se abordan. The Christian Theological Dark Web Podcast.
Good evening, guys. How you doing? This is the Christian Theological Dark Web, where the weird and the fringe get discussed, because the truth's not an option. It's a must.
Konnichiwa, y'all.
Konnichiwa. Yes, konnichiwa indeed. Shelley, why are you randomly speaking Japanese? The small only word you know in Japanese. Well, sayonara, I'm sure you know as well, right?
Yeah, and to call people san.
Yes, san-chan and sama, right? There you go.
In
guys,
business, it's all san.
It's all son. That's right. Because you gotta be polite culture.
Very.
Guys, we are having a wonderful welcome back. Sorry, did I cut you off? I didn't mean to.
Did. It's okay. I was just going to say I also know how to give and receive business cards.
Yes, that's exactly right.
To our Japaneseans, guys.
That's right. Guys, we are having an awesome episode. This is a follow-up episode, actually. We just decided we had a lot to talk about, and I felt like we didn't really talk about, and we talked about everything and nothing all at the same time because there was so much stuff I think we all wanted to talk about. It was a really cool episode.
That's
we
how
are
our
bringing
first episode
back.
Of anything is.
I know, right?
Episode of anything is like scratch all the surface.
That's right.
Don't get down to the meat yet.
That's right. That's right. So today we are actually bringing back on a fan favorite who actually that episode hasn't been released yet, but it will be very soon. And I'm going to start changing the dynamic actually a little bit we are changing rather, I should say, for our paid listeners. You guys are going to have the episodes a week early. I'm actually making that. I'm going to bump that up and make that happen. So
nice.
Yeah, it's going to be a cool deal for our behind the paywall listeners. It's a good deal. Guys, just a real quick plug-in. I don't even have them up on the screen, but that's totally okay. I'm not super worried about it. You guys can get a hold of us at solo.to/the CTDW. You can find all of our web pages, all of our social media. Constantly working on getting everything up and running. Find us on Spotify, YouTube, Rumble, anywhere you listen to podcasts. That's awesome. You can sign up with us on Patreon or on Spotify for $3 a month. It's a super, super small fee if you want to not only support this podcast, but also get some behind the scenes stuff. They actually have coming up in the next 2 or 3 weeks, of all people, I'm having my mother on the show. Yay! And we are doing an exclusive interview with her about some NDE stuff that she had going on when she was younger. So that's going to be very interesting, and stay tuned. There's tons of other stuff that's still coming. Obviously, we have our Divine Council devotional you can check out as well. That's only behind the paywall. You can watch episode 1, see if you like it, and then that's all it's available at current. We are working on episode 7 currently, actually, for that series. Yeah, well, I don't think I missed anything else for the moment, Shell. We good to go? And did I miss anything?
Not that I can think of.
Cool.
I will, just to give people a little bit of context to where we are today when we record. It is November 7th. So, yep, all of the hullabaloo so far about the American election is done.
Yeah.
Until we get closer to January, I assume, and then we'll see what kind of shenanigans come up. But that's where we are currently.
Let it cook.
And Ricky, you want to introduce our good friend Austin again?
I do. Austin is an awesome individual. Not only does he have the name of the city I live in, which is super cool, but he also is a Japanophile. He loves everything Japan. He knows just about everything Japan, and that's not an easy thing to do. Japanese culture is highly complex, highly layered, and has just a ton of facets. So it's very, very cool to have him back on. We are talking about cryptids, Japanese cryptids today, and we are taking advantage of our friend, the repository, also known as Austin. Let's give him a round of applause. Welcome on, Austin. How you doing, brother?
I'm doing well. Konbanwa.
Konbanwa. Nice. We talked about a little bit last time, a little bit of everything, like I mentioned to you guys. Mm-hmm. And like I said, we had so much I think we all wanted to share. And for that reason, Austin said, "Hey, let's do this again. This was a lot of fun. I think we had a blast last time."
Oh, we
did. And I don't think I could ask quick enough or let him finish his sentences before I already had like 3 other questions in my brain. But we are going to narrow it down today. Thing that we are not super well known for doing, but we're going to do our best.
Right.
We're going to be talking about yokai, right? Yeah. So I'm going to let, just to give you guys a little bit of preface before we kind of hit the ground running, we're going to be talking about several different types of cryptids or yokai, right? Which translates to weird, by the way, which I think is hilarious.
Like woo woo.
Yes,
Totally
that's
get it.
right.
Makes beautiful sense.
That's not weird. That's weird. In other words, in English, that would be high strangeness. So we're going to let him kind of take the reins, and we're just going to be talking about different Japanese cryptids in general. And from here on out, you're going to hear him as yokai. We're not going to switch back and forth, just so you guys kind of got the 411. And I'm going to let my guy Austin start wherever he wants. Go and give an introduction or whatever you think works, my man. All yours.
Well, I'm Austin, also known on Facebook as Shy Guy Theological Seminary. That's my meme page. You should go follow. It's a lot of fun.
Give him a follow.
Right.
Yeah. Well, honestly, I'll give you some props, man. You have some very specific information, which is always very impressive to me. Just very not only anecdotal, but very like highly detailed anecdotal, which is pretty cool.
Well, I appreciate that. Yeah, I mean, there's a reason I call it, theological seminary, instead of a meme page. The goal is to entertain and educate at the same time. So that's what I try to do.
That's the best kind. Edutainment. We love it.
Yeah.
Yep. Well, that's what we're doing here tonight.
Indeed we are. And we're going to be touching on these topics also for context for you guys. With relation to, if you ever ask yourself, why are we talking about this? Everything is to glorify the Father. Mm-hmm. That being said, I guess our second mission after talking about things people don't want to talk about in the church would be to uncover the works of the enemy. That's really what we're here for. So,
absolutely.
Yeah, man. Where do you want to start, Austin?
Well, let me edutain you guys, and let's talk about. I'll tell you what, dude. Let's talk about the Tsukumogami. You were really interested in that, so let's talk a little bit about that. So basically, the simplest explanation of Tsukumogami is it's a phenomenon. It's not necessarily one thing, but it's basically where objects come to life. And the prerequisite for these objects is they have to be viable after 100 years. So an antique or an object, maybe a family heirloom, if it reaches its 100th birthday, it gains a soul and comes to life.
Holy
and
moly.
Based on how those objects have been treated, that kind of dictates the outcome. Is this going to be a friendly thing or is it going to try to kill you?
Does that include homes?
I was going to ask
places?
Well, I don't think so. There are certain concepts in Japanese culture about like cursed places.
Sure.
That's more that kind of delves into Yude territory. But one thing I can say is the most common type of Tsukumogami that you see, it's all over video games, all over anime, it's everywhere, is the katakasa. And that's the umbrella ghost. And I'm sure you've seen it. It's basically this umbrella that hops around on one foot. It's usually got one big old eye, and it's always sticking its tongue out. And it's commonly associated with like haunted houses and things like that. So usually if you go into like a haunted house attraction in Japan, there's going to be at least one or two katakasa in there.
So let me ask you a question. Is that the same thing that appears in what's the name of that anime? It's super famous. Not Spirited Away. Something My Neighbor, what was that one called? With the gray
My neighbor Totoro.
Totoro, yeah.
I don't recall if it appears in there or not, but I know the soot sprites could kind of be considered Tsukumogami, I guess. Dirt that's been there for a really long time.
Oh wow. That's so wild. So I am curious about this. So after 100 years, they acquire a soul. Now, when you say a viable object, what do you mean per se by viable object?
basically just something that I guess could be alive. Like, I mean, if I have a umbrella that's cracked in half, that's garbage. That's not going to come to life.
Okay.
But if I have, an umbrella that's sitting in the attic for 100 years and it's still intact, or even if it's, battered and, it's still somewhat put together, it can gain a soul.
Here's your broken laptop won't work, but your working laptop could.
Yeah, basically something like that.
Do you know where this comes from?
Not right off the top of my head. It's just it's a cultural belief. It's always been around, and I think what it boils down to is the Japanese. They say when you take care of things, they last. And I mean, let's just be real. We talked about this last time. You go into downtown Tokyo, there's 2,000-year-old temples that still look brand spanking new.
Yeah.
The phenomenon where when like a bowl or plate cracks, they'll put it back together with gold.
Right.
It just comes from that concept of if we have something and we value it and it's useful, let's take care of it. Here in America, I mean, golly, I could talk about this forever, but we get something, and if one little thing is wrong with it, we want to throw it away. And I mean, it even boils down to relationships. Marriage, if one little thing ain't just right, I get rid of it because we can buy another one.
Right.
It's not like that in Japan. I mean, in some places like metropolitan areas, maybe, but the traditional Japanese belief has always been, if you have something and you take care of it, you'll be rewarded.
That's very interesting. I'm just, wow, that's so weird about the soul. Like I'm wondering where that concept comes from. That, I mean, I get that, if you take care of something that it, let me ask it this way.
Yeah.
So the Tsukumogami, right? Tsukumogami,
that's right.
These objects that come to life, how do we know that they're alive?
Basically, they from the illustrations and things, they change in appearance. So like the umbrella that I was, telling you about, it starts off as a normal umbrella, but when it gains its soul, it transforms into, this one-eyed, hopping around on one foot with its tongue hanging out. You've got
it picks up human characteristics then.
Right. And that kind of ties
some humanoid features.
Yeah, and that really ties into the universal knowledge that our soul is unique. It's what makes us human because it was given to us by God.
Right.
So I think that the Japanese, knowing that, knew that if something was to gain a soul, if it was to gain any semblance of what we know as the Imago Dei, then it would take on human characteristics because we're made in the image of God. I mean, we're different.
That's very interesting. So I'm curious. Do you know of any anecdotes where, well, besides obviously the umbrella, do you know of any anecdotes where anyone has come in contact to, like, with anything
Grandma's
you can think
teapot?
Yeah, or something like that.
Well, I mean, there are
sprouting legs and starts walking around the house,
Gets a chip in it, starts singing songs about beauties and beasts.
Yeah. Well, that's yeah.
I mean,
there are none that immediately come to mind. But I mean, as I've said, if you look back, I mean, you got like anime, manga, video games, but I mean, going back to like some of these woodblock prints and ukiyo-e paintings, you can see a lot of these Tsukumogami, particularly when it's like a ghostly scene.
Yeah.
So like if somebody is painting a haunted house, they're gonna have the creepy ghost girl, doing her thing, but somewhere in that house,
the black hair all over her face.
Yeah, you're gonna see the Tsukumogami, coming to life, like objects, floating around, biwa lutes, musical instruments, sandals, the paper lanterns. Yeah.
Wow, that's very interesting. That's interesting. I have several thoughts, and I'm trying to think about how to phrase them together. So, okay, it's such. I mean, I think a lot of these concepts are so oddly foreign to Westerners that it's hard to understand. Like, well, why though? You know, like why does it come to life?
Like, dude, I as much as I love Japan and as much as I know about it, there's stuff that I still don't understand, and I probably won't, if I'm being honest.
There's some serious mystery around a lot of things in Japan. Like, you know, like I all cultures have their mysteries, but the Japanese have like are notorious for being mystical, like very mysterious, not just mystical, mysterious. Like, why did this happen? How did this happen? And I don't know. That's such an interesting, like, oh, well, it's the time that I wonder why 100 years, and I wonder where that comes from. Can you tie anything that you can think of that would have to do with like maybe a Judeo-Christian belief or something? That's super weird.
None that I'm aware of, but I'm gonna segue into another one.
Okay, go for it.
We actually didn't talk about this one, but I think it's relevant.
Okay.
So the Gashadokuro is another mythical creature or cryptid that is similar to it.
Okay.
And this goes way back. I mean, like, this is Heian period type stuff. And
can you give like time frame references? When are we talking about for that period?
I would say probably like the early 800s, 900s AD.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Somewhere around that. Well, I tell you what, I can actually tell you.
What's the name of the period called again?
I think it's hold on. I'll tell you. Yep, it's the Heian period, and it was 940. In the 940s, right up until about the year 1000.
Oh, that's wild. It's like medieval time for us in Europe. Okay. All right. That gives me some reference.
Northern Japan was like wild at this point. I mean, I'm Yokai country, 100%. But the Gashadokuro actually comes from a real historical event that happened. So basically what this was there was this guy, he's extremely revered in Japanese culture, and his name was Taira no Masakado. And he was essentially, he was a daimyo. He was a powerful landowner in the Kanto region, which is where Tokyo is. Okay. But for various and sundry reasons that I can't even, it would take me 2 hours to explain the ins and outs of, he decided, I'm going to rebel against the government in Kyoto. So he wreaks havoc on the Kanto region for a few years, and eventually the Fujiwara and the emperor's forces, you know, they kind of corner him, they kill him, they cut his head off, and that's a whole nother story that we'll get into when we talk about Yurei. But in the aftermath of this big battle, his daughter was a well-known, and I mean, like, there's ancient documents documenting this. She was a well-known sorceress. Like, she was all up into dark magic and just all of these esoteric things. But she goes to the battlefield and she casts some kind of spell, and all of the bones and all of the skull fragments and every bit of flesh and gross crap, you know, that's on this battlefield converges into this one giant skeleton called the Gashadokuro. And the name Gashadokuro is actually the onomatopoeia for bones rattling. And I mean, if you say it fast, kind of get that, you know, sense.
What's the name again?
Gashadokuro.
Gashadokuro.
Yeah, I mean, I
know that the Japanese are infamous for onomatopoeia plays, like which is very interesting to me, actually, given the fact that they only have 5 vowels. That's in my in my linguistic experience. I tend to hear a lot more onomatopoeia in languages that have very fluid vowels. So it's curious that the Japanese are so, what will we call it? I mean, onomatopoeistically oriented, tonally oriented. I know that's such a weird adverb. That's curious. Okay, sorry.
No, you're good. But anyway, she, causes this giant skeleton to, rise up off that battlefield. And this thing basically goes straight to Kyoto. And I'm talking like kaiju style, just attacks basically.
What?
And yeah. And I mean, like, I haven't done too much research on whether there's any like historical precedent for that or what.
Oh, that's wild.
But the legend states that she basically cut a deal with the emperor to move her father's remains to another location, which is modern day Tokyo. And so his head is actually enshrined in Tokyo. And there are so many legends about that head, but it kind of drifts into Yude territory. So we'll talk about him a little more next episode.
So just for curiosity's sake, is his head like is it considered a highly charged spiritual object? I imagine so, like ultra venerated and
oh my gosh, dude, like
what?
This shrine where this head is so highly revered by people in Tokyo that there have been like deaths that have occurred because people have screwed around with that shrine.
I wonder if that family bloodline has something to do with the ancient bloodlines. That's very interesting.
Bloodlines always
quite possible, especially with dark magic. Kind of aspect to it, because I mean that stuff had to come from somewhere. You can't just
no kidding.
Sit there and learn that. But I mean, the U.S. military. Let me tell you this: the U.S. military tried to bulldoze that shrine to put up a parking lot. Yeah, they tried to bulldoze it, and literally the excavators and the bulldozers were like flipping over, like people were getting crushed by bags of concrete. Like,
man, I would like to read that military report. I'm just saying.
Oh yeah, well, it's oh my gosh. Now,
oh man.
They used to say, I don't know if it's true or not, but they used to say that all of the buildings in that district, I think it's the banking district that it's at.
Of course it is.
Well, they face toward his shrine in respect. Now, I don't know if that's true or not, but that's, what people used to say. But yeah, anytime they try to screw around with that shrine, bad things happen.
Yeah, that's
a hard concept for Americans to grasp.
Well, it's a high place.
Is sacred here.
Oh, it's definitely a high place. There's no doubt about it.
That's interesting. That's very interesting. So whatever happened to this giant? Do we know? Is there any?
I don't think so.
Bag of bones.
I mean, I'm assuming she probably just cast some kind of spell and got rid of it,
him or whatever,
or what happened. But basically, she just wanted to avenge her father's what she thought was an act of disrespect.
Absolutely,
she just wanted to avenge him.
You guys, she turned into a lizard person and fought with Mothra.
It could be. It could be.
Well, I mean, it's another one that's really famous in Japanese artwork. Like you can look it up, and there's a giant skeleton.
That's cool. Okay, yeah, we'll definitely check that out. By the way, anything you have for the that you have notes that you think are relevant, feel free to shoot them over, man. We'll post them for sure, and I'll read through them.
Yeah, you're good.
I do want to know about this one. The Wanyudo, which is the oldest yokai that exists.
Yep, it is. It's the oldest documented one that we have.
Okay. And
basically what this thing is it's a flaming ox cart wheel. So just imagine a flaming ox cart wheel. And in the center of that wheel is the face of an anguished and tortured man.
What
And
world?
this man doesn't have a name as far as I'm aware, but the legends state that he was the soul of a ruthless samurai lord, and he took great pleasure in tying people to ox carts as a form of torture.
Oh, whoa.
So because of that, the gods or karma or whatever curse thing he worshipped doomed him to roam the earth stealing souls. So basically, this wheel with this man's head and
he's a Japanese Ghost Rider, dude. He's Japanese Ghost Rider.
Basically, yeah, Japanese Ghost Rider. Somebody should really put that in one of the comic books. I wonder if they have. But basically, that's what he does, and like it's extremely bad fortune if you see it.
Whoa.
There's a legend.
Ghost Rider-sama.
Well, look, dude, like it gets crazier because the oldest known legend about this thing say that there was a woman in Kyoto and she knew that it was outside, so she peeked out of the window and saw him. And when she did, he looked at her and said, "You better not look at me and start looking at your child." When she turned around, she saw that her baby didn't have any legs now. And when she turned back around to look at the thing, this thing had the baby's legs in its mouth chewing on it.
Oh, that's awful.
Yeah. I mean, I'm telling y'all, like these Japanese fairy tales and folk tales are
hide
dark.
your wife.
They are dark.
Yeah, they are.
But what I found, and you're going to love this, Rick, I actually found that there's a similar described demon in some of the esoteric circles, and it's called what is that thing called? Shoot, just had it. Hold on, I can tell you.
I'm waiting.
It's called Buer, I think is how it's pronounced, Buer, but it's a similar demon, and it's basically a wheel demon.
A wheel demon.
A wheel demon.
What culture is that? Is that?
It's esoteric from what I understand. Let's see. I'm going to butcher some of these names.
No, you're good. I'm just kind of curious about the origin. That's always fascinating to me.
Well, Origins. it appears in a 16th century grimoire called the Pseudo-Monarchia Demonium.
Okay.
Yeah, just one of those weird Latin names.
Yeah.
But according to this, he teaches natural and moral philosophy, logic, and the qualities and uses of all herbs and plants. He also bestows good familiars. Yeah.
Oh, that's interesting.
Can you say Azazel?
Right.
Yeah. I mean, like it says here that he's described as a great president of hell, having 50 legions of demons under his command. So pretty powerful.
Moral and natural philosophy.
Azazel.
Yeah, that's interesting. That's very interesting. How old are we talking about? Did I ask you that? I don't remember if I asked you that or not.
Yeah, so this thing goes back all the way to I mean, before the Heian period. The earliest reports actually date to about 794.
Oh wow.
So we're talking the early days of what we know as, Japanese culture. When you think about ancient Japan, this is the period that you're likely thinking of.
Yeah, I'm trying to, because I'm sifting through dates in my head of China, and it's hard for me to relate them to Japan because China is so stinking ancient.
Oh yeah.
Okay, so when is the essential foundation of? I'm sorry, one more time.
I said people are surprised how young the Japanese culture actually is. That's
interesting. That's very interesting. Well, it's not younger. It's certainly not any younger than the German culture. I was just learning about that today. So
Germanic culture goes back before.
Well, Germanic, yes, but I'm talking about Germany proper.
Like
the
Germany
actual,
proper.
Like the statehood and stuff like that. It's a wild story. I didn't realize.
That's recent stuff.
Yeah, it really is. Wow, that's crazy. Okay, cool. So that gives me a little bit of idea. I'm trying to spitball like okay, what was happening in China at that time, and so were they? I actually don't know. I'm not super familiar with the Japanese history on that, like its formation and stuff, because I know that they shared a lot of history with China. Like, I mean, they essentially say that they're the same body of people, that they just speak a different dialect.
Yeah, so this period of Japanese history was the first time there was a centralized government of Japanese people. Like this
Okay.
was, the first documentation that we have, of an emperor outside of, well, I shouldn't say the first documents, but the first verifiable mentions of there being, an imperial court happened in the Heian period.
Okay.
So that's the old name for Kyoto. But Kyoto, or Heian, however you want to pronounce it, was actually modeled after the Chinese imperial city.
Yeah.
So they were trying to basically posture themselves and set themselves up as another China.
A competing, it's a competing dynasty. Yeah, absolutely. Oh, that's very interesting. Okay, cool. You wanted to talk about Mr. Tofu, dude. I want to hear about this.
Yeah, because I found out some pretty cool things about this guy. So basically, this is the Tofu Kozun.
Okay.
And he's basically described as a small boy. Sometimes just looks like a regular little kid, but other times he's a cyclops. And he has just like one giant eye in his head. But he always wears a robe that's a little bit too big for him and a straw bowl hat. I forget what they call those things. But basically his only function, the only thing he does, is he knocks on people's doors and offers them a plate of tofu.
And then what happens if you accept?
You just have some tofu.
Wow,
is silken tofu?
Yeah, I mean, it's regular tofu. He just, it's a gift.
That I wonder if that sounds to me like a threshold. Because he's going directly to your doorstep to offer you
and offering a
meal,
a gift.
Yeah,
basically.
right.
Yeah,
a gift
which is usually, if you partake, then it's
I don't really want to like pop anybody's bubble or anything.
No.
But I found out today that basically this, not saying it is, but this could be like one of the earliest examples of a mascot, because during the period that we first start seeing this guy come to fruition is when there's like a huge boom in the tofu industry. And what you had to understand about tofu is everybody loved it, but nobody really knew how it was made. So basically what they're
Isn't
thinking
that
now,
still the case?
Yeah, I was gonna say that's still the case for most people.
Well, it's funny because there's a theory out now that kind of like we have the Keebler elves, that make the cookies in the tree. They're thinking now that maybe the Japanese people at this time period were kind of like, hey, this stuff is so good, it must be, made by these.
Must make it.
Yeah, like basically these are early Christmas elves or Keebler elves.
They didn't want to make shoes; they made tofu.
Hey, it ain't really my favorite thing, but hey, to each his own.
Man, when it's prepared right, silken tofu is great. Koreans do this amazing fried tofu with a really good chili sauce on it. It's one of my favorite things to eat.
Yeah,
I have to try it again sometime.
Well, it what you're describing to me also sounds like a little person, actually.
Yeah,
and I don't mean the politically correct word for dwarfism. I'm talking about actual like magical little people. You follow us, and so I don't know if you have seen any postings by one of our buddies, Nick Rico Nick or whatever I can't remember how his name is
Nico Rico.
Nick Rico, there you go.
Possibly.
Well, he just was on Unrefined. Was that where it was, Shell?
Yeah.
He was on the Unrefined podcast, and he was talking about little people specifically because he grew up in Chile, and he also grew up in the here in the border areas and stuff like that, and Texas area. And he talks about a lot of little people that like would visit his daughter and visit their house and stuff like that. Just kind of wild stuff. I mean, he's Native American. He has Native American heritage. So
now he's up in like Wisconsin or somewhere like that, and there are
little people there too.
Like that live in that area, and his stories are real interesting.
Yeah,
got footage of these things.
Pretty much every tribe has stories of little people, and some of them are different. I think it's the Navajo that they eat people, so they're very very not nice.
The
Pudgewuggies, I think, is the name of one of them. I forget.
Which, heard of the Pudgewuggies?
I think it's one of the more northern nations' beliefs, but now I don't remember. It's possible that it could have been Anasazi or Hopi as well. I don't remember. There's so much lore. It's hard to keep it separate in your head, to know the difference between a leprechaun and a Pudgewuggy and
I think that they're
and the tofu boy.
And the tofu boy. They're all cultural relevant iterations, in my opinion, of relatively similarly the same concept or the same phenomena is a better way to say it.
Well, you actually reminded me of something, and this is another little jumping off point about another yokai. Do you remember that guy that was telling us like he had a friend that had made contact with the Tengu?
Oh man, refresh my memory. I don't remember
that. So basically we were talking when you posted, the advertisement for, this episode, there was a guy that was like, I have a friend that's, really well acquainted with the Tengu of Japan.
Oh, and, that's Nick. That's Nick Nicorico.
Oh, for real? Okay.
Yeah, that's him.
Yeah. That it's really, that really fascinated me because, Tengu.
Hey, well, we'll have him. I mean, we're talking about having him on
talking
anyway.
With Nick about him coming on.
If you wanna hop in on that, you're welcome to, man. Anytime you want.
Well, what's funny about it is when I was in Japan, for whatever ungodly reason, I decided to just wake up one morning. I was staying in Okutama, which
I remember you talked about this. Yeah,
a rural area outside of Tokyo, and I just decided, there's this mountain, across the river, and there's a shrine on top of it. I'm gonna climb that mountain. I don't know what I was thinking. I don't know what godly or ungodly force compelled me to do it, but I climbed that mountain. And I didn't know it at the time, but that's a mountain that Tengu, are said to dwell on. And what's funny about it is there was only one person that I encountered going up that mountain, and it was a man with a dog. And he was walking his dog, and I started speaking to him in Japanese, and he kind of gave me this look, and he started speaking to me in English. And the legend goes, that these Tengu are so intelligent and so wise that they can speak multiple languages. And I started putting all that together when I got home, and it was like,
whoa,
could it be?
Whoa, dude.
Yeah.
You should definitely tell us about that experience. Like, go into detail, please.
I mean, I don't know if it's anything to it or not, but I mean, what you have to understand in Japan is they call it the land of the rising sun for multiple reasons. One of the reasons
That's
is
very interesting.
At 4 or 5 a.m., the sun is high in the sky. So it gets bright very, very early.
Yeah.
So, I mean, this is my first time being out of the country. I've always dreamed about being here. So I'm going to try to experience as much of it as I can. Yeah.
Absolutely.
So I'm, by myself, and I'm staying at this little campground in Okutama. And I just decide, there's this shrine on Google Maps, and it's called Aoi Shrine, which is the blue shrine. I want to go see this. So I didn't realize how far of a walk it would be, but I walked probably a good hour and a half to get there and an hour and a half back.
Wow.
So I just remember, it's really, really early in the morning, bright, sunny day. And I only encounter one person the whole time I'm going up this mountain. And I mean, it wasn't like a rugged mountain trail. It wasn't like a
Yeah.
It was paved, but I'm just walking, and there's this guy, just walking his dog, and Ohayo gozaimasu, Shiba Inu, because it was a Shiba Inu dog. That's a really good word I knew how to say. And he kind of looked at me. He was like, "Yeah, Shiba Inu, very, very friendly." And like perfect English.
Like, what?
It's just like,
very weird.
Interesting. I mean, I didn't think anything of it at the time. I was just like, oh yeah, well, that was a friendly gentleman.
Did you notice any particularly interesting characteristics about this guy? Did he look just totally like a regular guy?
Looked like a regular guy to me, but I remember thinking it was kind of odd, that he spoke, perfect English.
That's very weird.
Because a lot of
all the cool dogs he could have chosen, he chose his Shiba Inu instead. My mom will
I like the Shiba Inu.
My mother loves Shiba Inus. She's had several.
You know what Shiba Inu means, right?
Whiny dog who cries.
I mean, I guess some can, but no, Shiba Inu. So Inu is the word for dog. And Shiba is like a shrub or a bush. So it literally translates to bush dog or shrub dog.
Oh, wow.
Huh. They should have named it something about its tail, because that is the one glory of a Shiba.
So it's interesting because I'm looking at some of the information that you're, just because I was like, okay, Tengu, I can't think of anything that comes to mind or anything like that. But I looked it up real quick just while you're talking. I was like, oh, okay, I gotta get it. Talks about that they tend to have like human/avian features, but just kind of looking through it, and I looked at the origin, and this is really interesting. It says the name Tengu comes from a dog-like Chinese demon called Tengu. Oh, wow. Okay, that means heavenly dog, literally. Tengu. Oh, right. Tengu may have also been influenced by Garuda, a legendary bird from Hindu, Buddhist, and Jain mythology, and by Sarutahiko Okami, a Shinto deity. So,
and Mothman. Let's add the Mothman connection in there, because the book that inspired the movie, The Mothman Prophecies, was almost called the Garuda.
What?
Because Garuda are harbingers of doom in Hindu mythology. And you guys know the whole incident with Mothman, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I actually drugged my wife to Point Pleasant when we were on the way to.
Did you really?
I was like, hey, we should go to Point Pleasant. She didn't want to, but we did it anyway.
It was very pleasant.
But yeah, I mean, you could make that connection.
Well, it's just interesting that he was walking his dog.
I know. Now that you mentioned that, man, I've got chills starting to form.
Dude, and I'm telling you, like, here, I can't put this on the screen, but I'll put it in the chat so you can read it, and you can look at, because you know enough of the, and I'll post this for everybody that's watching here, so you guys can see what the character looks like, or what the characters are, and you can look it up for yourself. Hold on, I can't remember how to write dog in in Chinese anymore. Go is I think that's go. Yeah. Tiango. Can you see it down there?
Yep.
So it literally means heaven dog or God dog is what it means.
God dog. Is that like the sequel to Cat Dog or something?
I know, right? Yeah, no, that's wild though, man. He was walking his dog. That's very weird. I never made
that connection, but you're exactly right. It translates to heavenly dog.
So is that a Japanese
you were on your way? Is it what?
Do what now?
Is that a Japanese palindrome?
You mean like dog god?
Yeah.
Oh
yes.
Gosh!
Oh, it took me a minute. No.
It's a Japanese palindrome in English is what it is.
Right. Basically.
That's interesting, dude. Yeah, well, hey man, you might have a cryptid tale on your hands now more than you think you do.
Maybe. I mean, I didn't put all that together until recently, but yeah, I mean, like the legends of these flying people, they're all over the place. I mean, like Mothman, immediately comes to mind because it's not too far from me, up in the mountains. But
oh, that's wild.
Yeah,
dude. That's wild. Yeah, man.
Well, there are petroglyphs, and I started to send you this, and for some reason I hadn't got around to it. There are petroglyphs of these winged people, like going way, way back, like primordial.
Like local to where you're at, or you're just talking about in general?
In general, I mean, I'm sure you can find some carvings around here too. We had several tribes out in South Central Virginia, but
you're in VA. I forgot where you're at. Yeah, okay.
Well, that would also be one of the iterations of Dracul. He flew. It's winged flying human thing.
I actually met a Romanian guy that told me about. He's like, hey, you should really watch this. This is basically like, and it's a movie for entertainment. He said it's not like a documentary or anything, but it's an old movie about Dracula, about the king and how he became Dracula. But this dude was from Romania. Like, he was explaining it to me. He was just Romanian. He's like, yeah, that's where it comes from, this and that, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, well, I never got around to watching it because just life or whatever happened.
It's interesting lore, but
it's very.
But that's the thing.
It's curious that you found him. You found this guy on the way up to a mountain. I mean, we all know that angels alight on mountains, right? Like on high places. Like it's not. If that is what. Let's just call it what it is. It's more than likely what it is. I mean, I've had run-ins with angels, dude. Like, and they're the most unsuspecting. I've had one run-in that I can remember with an angel, and it was the most unsuspecting thing I've ever had happen.
Yeah.
I guess I'll rabbit trail unless you're super quick. Is that cool with you?
Go for it.
My wife and I, and our kiddos, actually, we had just come from, I guess we'll call it like an outreach event. Of sharing the gospel with some people here in the park, and just for some kind of reference for you guys, here in Austin, we have a humongous park. We just have this big old park. It's called oh my gosh, I'm gonna forget what it's called right now. Wow, that's ridiculous. Lady Bird Lake is right there, and then what's the name of the park? I can't remember the name of the park. I'll look it up here in a second. That's very bizarre. I go there every day. So we were walking around that park, and we were sharing the gospel just with some other people from our church and stuff. And then we had to take off early because I have kids, and we had to go grab something to eat, whatever. So we went to the only mall that's down south here in Austin. And as we were sitting there, we're just eating our food and everything. There was this guy, big chubby guy, real quiet, not being rude, but he just looked just dirty, like he'd been on the street and stuff. Smelled a little strong, nothing like intolerable, but just hadn't bathed in a while. But he was very respectful, wasn't bothering anybody, wasn't he just kind of looked around a little bit, but didn't say anything. We ate our meal, we kept eating our meal, finished, and like both my wife and I just kept looking over at him, and I looked at her, and I'm like, I really feel like we should buy this guy food. I just really feel like we should buy this guy food. And I walked up to him. I go, hey, sir, I hope you won't be offended with my question, but would you mind if I buy you food? And he, oh, no, not at all. Thank you so much. You're just super pleasant. Had such a congenial disposition, just very endearing, very grateful, very, just a pleasant guy to be around. And he didn't look the part for sure, right? Bought him his meal. I said, hey, do you want a drink? Because yeah, absolutely, whatever. He took his meal, and like honestly, even before I could even really talk to him, he, hey, thank you so much, sir. He said, and he was like, it was weird, dude. It was like he was almost already gone.
Yeah.
But before I even had a chance to really turn around and say anything else except, hey, I hope you enjoy it, or what. We had a normal exchange. It wasn't like he just was hightailing it out of there. He was like, hey, thank you so much, and have a great day, sir. I really appreciate it. It was wild. It was like he was waiting for that food, and like when we left, I turned around and looked at my wife. I was like, I think that dude was an angel. Like I legit think that guy was an angel, because we didn't see him after that. I saw him walking away, and he was gone like almost instantaneously. It was very wild. It was a weird experience.
Oh yeah, it's something very similar happened to me and my wife. When we were dating, we were at a McDonald's, and there was this older black guy that was just kind of like you, just kind of sitting outside or whatever. And he looked at us and he said, "You know what? Would y'all buy me a fish sandwich?" And usually around here, when people are trying to jip you and like
Panhandle or whatever,
yeah, they're gonna ask for like money. But this guy was like, "Hey man, would you mind buying me a fish sandwich?"
real specific.
And I said, "Sure, yeah, I'd love to buy you one. I'll wait right here, and I'll come back and give it to you." So I'm watching this guy outside the window. He's there. I hand the money to the cashier, get the sandwich. I turn around and this dude is like disappears. So, I go out the door. I'm looking to the left, looking to the right. And I mean, in that amount of time, he wouldn't have been able to get. I mean, this was an old dude. Like he had a cane and everything. Like there's no way this dude got away from me like that.
That's wild.
And it's just, funny. I think, he was just looking to see, is there a good person that will be willing to do this?
Yeah.
But I think that dude was an angel too.
That's cool, man. That's really cool. That's good stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Well, we deviated.
Shell
wants to talk about the mudman.
Let's talk about the mudman.
About the Japanese golem.
Something like that. So,
Golem.
Dorotabo is what the Japanese call the mudman zombie. And basically what these things are is they are the transformed souls of old men who worked rice fields and nobody took care of it after they were gone. So basically it's their anger at having their land be unused. So basically these things roam overgrown fields. They rise up out of the mud at night and they just kind of sulk around the fields and moan and groan.
Wow.
And basically they continue haunting the area until either the owners change their ways and rework the land, or they leave.
Wow. So essentially,
there's some people whose name rhymes with skates that I'd like to introduce Adora Tabo to.
I mean, well, yeah. I mean, like I'm looking at some notes.
Okay, you'll figure it out. You'll get there.
Well, look at here. Like most of Japan's land is bound in like really high mountain ranges where it's not easy to farm. So any land that's usable is extremely valuable. And people can save up for a lifetime to, get a plot of farmland, especially back in the days when, really that was your only sustenance was what you could grow. So for somebody to sit there and, not work the land and not farm is, taking food out of somebody else's.
Absolutely. No, I think that to modern America too. All this land we have being bought up to lie fallow or have more houses built on it, and I guess we're all supposed to survive off of crickets and Cheetos.
I have some information that I am considering to offer you, and you are welcome to give your feedback. I was literally yesterday was editing our episode about ancient Earth, Pangea, whatever you want to call it. And some suppositions around all that stuff. And I dare say that Japan didn't exist before Pangea. And I'm going to tell you why. Japan is the only culture I know of that doesn't have a flood myth. They're the only culture I know of that doesn't have a flood myth.
You know what? You're exactly right. You're exactly right. They don't have a flood myth that I'm aware of.
Yeah, it's really wild. And to take this, I'm going to run with this a little bit.
Yeah.
All the places we're talking about are high places for the most part. Point in fact, if Japan came to be, Japan is nothing but a mountain. It's all of Japan would technically be there you go. it would all be a high place. All of it would be a high place.
The whole country. You
high
know what,
place
dude?
that sprung out of the deep because
Yeah.
of the volcanic
maybe-
activity at the time of the tearing apart of Pangea.
Maybe
Well-
that's the reason that it might be why there's so much spiritual activity there.
Spiritual charge, yeah. You know what, dude? That's actually a really, really good point. That is, wow, that's actually mind-blowing. But you're exactly right. The Japanese archipelago, they can trace civilization going back 10,000 years. But even in doing that, like, you can tell, like, these people didn't just spawn here. They
Right.
found this island and they called it home. And I mean, even going back to like the Yayoi people and the Jomon people and the Ainu, like their cultures we know more about the Ainu than any of them, but they're just so spiritual. I mean, there's no real I can't even describe it. It's just like it's not a I can't think of the words. It's not an economic culture, it's a spiritual culture. That
Not
first
materialistic.
yeah.
If you
Well-
look at a map, that's an interesting thought. Sorry, guys, I'm still really stuck on Japan, but I have a map right here. And so I turned on my camera's light to look at it. And what you see, and I don't know that you'll see this, Rick, but you can see the underwater ravine. Gosh, I don't even know what to call it. I would call it the Mariana Trench if it was in the right place, which it is not.
Is it the mid-oceanic ridge, maybe?
Possibly.
You want to put it up, Shell?
I
Oh, it's your physical map. I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's my map in my office.
My bad.
So.
You're good.
But it's
a trench,
really,
you say?
It's like an underwater ridge would be better. The kind of ridges that form in the Ring of Fire, where that is. So it's a volcanic ridge that has been built up due to volcanic activity. So it's really interesting because when you look at the way the island is, it does not cup China. Say China coastline is here like this.
Yeah.
Instead of it kind of mirroring it, it's the opposite. It goes out. It's very interesting.
The Sea of Japan is what you're talking about.
No, it's up. Well, no, I'm talking about the whole Pacific.
So I'm looking at Google Maps.
What I'm looking at.
Let me pull this up. I'm looking at Google Maps right now. This might behoove us to take a peek at. Let's see here. Okay, you guys see that?
Yeah, but that doesn't give any depth.
No. I know what I'm talking about is the feature that you're talking about with. I guess this would be North Korea. There's this really large expanse here, which seems fairly abnormal because if you look at Taiwan looks like it came apart,
right?
But Japan, and I'm referencing Taiwan because I know Taiwan, but Japan does. It looks very, very different. If you could see the features under the water, if you had more of a topographical map that shows elevations, then you would see that Japan follows the ridge line like perfectly. Oh wow, that's interesting.
And so I think that's what's so fascinating to me is I see this ridge line and it's like, oh, wait a minute, this is part of that.
That's very curious.
Japan, I think, is the far western edge of the Ring of Fire. So, like, the coastline of California is here on one end, and Japan is like right on that outer rim.
That's
like
right.
Pacific Rim.
Theoretically, if there was an earthquake that caused part of California, the northern part in this particular instance, to detach from the continental United States, the what's that word? Not tsunami.
Hurricane? Is that what you're thinking of? Typhoon?
No, I guess I am thinking tsunami. Tsunami is the tidal wave, right? The
Yeah,
tsunami
giant wave.
would go and could wipe out all of Japan.
Yeah.
Because they share they share that the opposite ends of the Pacific.
You know what? That's really fascinating that you're talking about that. Sorry, let me just get this in super quick, dude. It's all yours. I just was thinking, you mentioned, and I know this, like I've read Japanese lore to some extent because it comes up with, just East Asian studies in general. You're going to come across some of this stuff, and you're right about the dark part. Like some cultures have dark stuff, but Japanese have like twisted dark stuff, like very weird dark stuff. And I think that if we are to go with this supposition about Japan not having existed pre-Pangea, right? Pre-flood, right? We'll just say pre-flood. That's a better way to say it. Yeah. Then if it literally is just a giant mountain and it's all volcanic, creation, it stands to reason that its closest connection would be hell and not heaven.
Yeah. There is a mountain in Japan called Mount Osore, which translates to Mount Fear. That's basically just giant sulfuric. They literally call it the gates of hell. Like there's a shrine there and everything.
Of course there is. Wow, that's interesting, man. I derailed this bad, sorry.
Like, dude, this is like really mind blowing because, and I can tie this in, with some Native American stuff for you, Shelley.
Do it.
The people in northern Japan and Hokkaido and parts of northern Honshu were called the Ainu people.
Okay.
And from what I've read and understood about the Ainu people is their culture is very eerily similar to the people of the Pacific Northwest, like to the point that they call themselves, both people groups, we say we're the Northwest people. Really high emphasis on bears, like bears are totems in the Pacific Northwest. In Hokkaido and the Ainu culture, bears were sacred. And there's just so many points of connection, between the two of them. So it stands to reason that, this thing rose up out of the sea, and people saw it and was like, hey, let's go live over there, not realize that this place is literally unearthly. And I mean, it is. That's
wild.
Yeah.
That's such a wild concept, man. I mean, that's just the fact that it's, I mean, what lends more credence to me is the fact that it's on the Ring of Fire. That is crazy. That is so weird.
You know what it reminds me of, though? And I mean, I hate to even say this because I love Japan so much, but the city where Cthulhu dwelt, that rose up out of the sea. And, I mean,
yeah, you're not wrong.
No. What is the word you said that they call themselves? It reminds me so much of
Ainu?
Inuit.
The Northwest people, the Ainu.
That's what it sounds like to me too. Like when you said that, it sounds like a frozen tundra tribal people. That's what it sounds like to me.
They look similar to the Inuit. Most Native Americans don't grow facial hair, but the Inuit do. And Ainu men had like huge, like almost Russian like beards.
Well,
whoa.
Which, the Eskimo, Indian do as well. The Haiti. One of the few with facial hair. So my kids are part Haiti Indians. So and that's up in Washington State, Oregon, and up into Alaska. So
well, I mean, it's a similar climate, it's a similar culture. It's really uncanny how similar these two things are.
Well, and they're ocean people.
Yep.
Right.
There's the whole sea people and the love of the water and boating and the aquatic animals and even the aquatic mammals that live on land but will go into the sea. It's interesting. I mean, I'm not willing to write any papers on this, but it's definitely some pause for thought, you know.
Yeah,
That's wild, man. That's very cool.
Wild, man.
That's that'll keep you thinking for a while, dude.
Oh yeah, dude. Like I'm already mind blown.
Yeah, and you know what's weird, Austin, is that when we were talking about this, dude, when the Holy Spirit speaks to you, it just feels different when he's telling you something, when he's revealing something to you. And when you come to like I hate to use the word genius, when you come to like a conclusion on something versus when the Holy Spirit tells you something, like when I told you what I just did about Japan not existing pre-flood, like it felt like I don't know if I've never really had this happen, but it felt like I came to the conclusion and the Holy Spirit like put it on me at the same time. Like it wasn't my understanding by itself. I'm not telling you that that's what it is. I'm just saying what I felt when it came to me.
It flipped so many switches for me. Like everything just converged at once. Like, wait a minute, that explains the spiritual apathy, the dark, twisted things.
Right.
Like all of it just converged. I think you're exactly right, dude.
That's wild.
But I mean, if it's part of God's creation, then his goal is to restore creation, not destroy it.
Sure.
So, right. Well, and there's not a single thing that happens on this planet that he has not
ordained
allowed.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I agree. I completely agree. But dude, man.
But and that's what God does, right? Like he takes the broken thing and makes it beautiful. And I think furthermore, what you were talking about these, because I don't want to, it's fine. Like I'm totally fine derailing us. That's fine. But I do want to bring it back because I think it's what you're talking about is very important. And what Shell wanted to ask about the mudmen is really important. Holy Spirit, we didn't even pray, but you brought us here. Dear Jesus, thank you for this time. Continue to be here. I know you're here. Forgive us for not doing this earlier, but thank you for being here. Continue to work in our midst and help us to understand the plans of the enemy, Lord God, the lies of the enemy, and how you are glorified in all things dark and light. Thank you, Jesus. Amen. I think it bears, there's because you were talking about how these guys are connected to the fields. That's how I got thinking. That's how I got thinking about this whole thing. And it's one of those questions, you have a question, you're like, I don't even know how to ask this question, but I kind of think I know what I'm asking at this point, or at least, enough to make a comment here. And I'll let you run with this if you have any thoughts on this as well. If you notice, particularly about Japan, I mean, yes, in other Asian countries as well, but particularly about Japan, it seems to me I just get that vibe, just from all the content they put out, just from the way that they interact, with the rest of the world, all that stuff. It seems to me like for them, everything is like 1,000,000% sacred. And that includes all the lands themselves, and all of their lore is like so connected to the earth. It's not like other places, where you could spot this cryptid here and that cryptid there. Like, even though I know that there are certain Bigfoots right here in the US that are found in certain areas, like I don't feel like it's like they're so bound to that area that they wouldn't show up somewhere else. And I feel that that's like, I get the impression that that's the way Japan is. Japan is like, this is my territory. This is where I'm staying. In this case, I was treated poorly. I'm connected to this earth, this portion of earth now, and I'm not leaving until it's what you're essentially describing with this mudmen is that these fields are not exorcised. They're not demonically exorcised. I mean, that's what it sounds like to me.
Dude, if you gave me enough time, I could put it on the screen. When I was in Saitama, it was my first night in Japan, and I was walking around.
I love One Punch Man, by the way. I'm sorry.
Oh,
that's my second
well,
favorite anime.
That's his name.
Saitama's the name. It's his name.
Yeah. Well, not to rabbit trail again, but a lot of the anime studios are in where I was. But
oh, wow. Okay.
Anyway, I was walking past this shrine, and one of the things that we do in Japan, it's kind of lazy, but if we can't read a sign, we just go on like Google, translate, and like it has like a little scanner. Nice. But basically, man, there was this modern day Shinto shrine, and it was charging, I think 5,000 yen, which is about $50, to have your car exercised before you go on a big trip. Like they were like advertising this service of
To have your what exercised?
A
Automobile.
car.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow.
So it's like to them, everything can have a spirit. Like it doesn't matter if it's man-made. It doesn't matter if it's natural. It can have a spirit. It can
Japanese apparently have to be 100 years old.
Right.
I mean, if
Well,
the car is 100 years old, I'd love to see it.
To be a cryptid, it would.
If your car is 100 years old, maybe it needs to be exercised. If
Probably.
Can.
Yeah, because it's not natural.
Well, that's not even weird, dude. That's like on point. I don't know if you saw it. You might not have. It hadn't got like a whole lot of traction, and that's totally fine. But I posted a little excerpt that Shelley and I were talking about the Divine Council devotional, this most recent episode. Oh, you did see it. Okay. So we're like, the whole premise is that ancient peoples didn't separate things and spirituality. Like there was no separation. There was this seamless kind of connection one to the other. Right. And everything. Right. Yeah. And everything that was useful was also spiritual, right? Like it was essentially useful because it was spiritual, or it was spiritual because it was useful. Like it was, there wasn't like this like disconnect that we have. Like these headphones, you know, like you and I wouldn't say, oh, those are anointed headphones. We'd be like, that's freaking weird, Ricky, what's wrong with you? But the Japanese would be like, absolutely, they're dedicated to this glorious purpose and they serve your, and honestly, dude, I that's one of the things I think that we geez, there's not a good word in English I can think of. In Spanish, I would say carece, which literally means like we suffer in lack from. Like we literally suffer because
too little of it. We acknowledge too little of it, and maybe Japan acknowledges an excess of it.
Remember Marie Kondo? Did you ever watch that series on Netflix? That she would, when they would throw things away or they would organize things, that like they would like. I mean, it's a little weird, but they would like. She would even like. I don't know if it was like pray, or she would like offer respect. Like if you were going to get rid of some item, like she would do like this whole like honorific thing where they were getting rid of this item and it's no longer going to be in your house, and we respect this thing and we pay homage to it because it served this purpose for us. And so it was pretty wild to watch.
Marie Kondo.
Yeah. Marie Kondo.
It ties all the way back to that Tsukumogami. You know, you want to have a good rapport with these objects because, you know, if they gain a soul and you piss them off, you know.
Wow, that's wild.
Yeah.
I don't think I want to venerate things. See, that's what happens when you venerate things.
Yeah. Well, it's a fine line, right? Like Christ. See, because there's the thesis and there's the antithesis, and the thesis sounds more like Japan to me, but the antithesis sounds more like I don't give a crap about the Jews, Christians to me. Like it doesn't make any difference. The land doesn't matter. There's no reason to have it. It's just a plot of land. It's just like anything else on the earth. And I'm like, it's not just a freaking plot of land.
Right. Yes, it's not. You know,
it's a fine line to walk. They're both important.
Yeah. And you know, it kind of reminds me, you know, since we're referencing shows and stuff, you know, like Avatar: The Last Airbender, you know, like
I love that show. It's great.
I love that show, man. That's like my favorite. But like,
it's a really good one.
When they did the sequel series that I didn't really like as much, you know, there was the sequences where it was like the spirit world and the physical world were still the same. Like that's almost how, you know, the Japanese have viewed their civilization and their culture is, you know, they coexist with these kami, with these yokai, with these yurei. You know, they share that space.
I almost feel like kami is a cognate for Elohim. Really, I do. Like because it just means spirit, like God, like deity, like thing. You know, kami can just be for anything, which is wild. It's
anything that's not so much materialistic.
When Japanese pastors, you know, preach, when they say God, they say kami-sama.
Kami-sama.
You know, yeah.
Sama. What is sama? I know kami is God. But what is sama?
So sama is basically it's reserved for a deity or for a religious
Sama.
person,
Okay.
Like
Right.
spirit.
like a bishop or a saint.
That's right. I forgot
So,
about that.
like
I had them
Sama,
backwards in my head. I had them. Kami was the suffix that's added, but it's the other way around. It's Sama that's the suffix
Yep.
that's added.
Yep.
Okay. Cool. Wow, man, that's wow. What a cool tangent. That was very cool.
Oh yeah.
I think we
Well,
all have a lot to think about Japan now. Go ahead, man.
Big time. Let's go ahead and hop into the Kappa.
Yes, you wanted to get to this one.
Yeah, I've actually found some things out because this is my favorite like yokai of all time. I mean, it's one of the more well-known ones, but I've always loved them. They're just so
Kappa-sama.
I love the Kappa, but recently there have been sightings of these things.
Not just on Super Mario.
Like no, like not just on Super Mario. Like there have been, documented police reports of people seeing these things.
Of course there have, man. I'm gonna post a picture here if that's cool with you.
Yeah, go ahead.
So people have some context for it. Shell, you're gonna be like, oh my gosh, when you see it.
Fantastic.
It's not creepy, it's just it'll probably ring some bells, let's just say.
Yeah. Yep. So the first thing was, and this was, I couldn't figure out exactly where this was, but I believe it was somewhere in Iwate Prefecture. But a couple came into their house and saw that something just wasn't right. Like the door was wide open. There were these wet footprints, all over the place. So they didn't even go into the house. They called the police and were like, look, somebody's broken into my house. We don't know if they're still in there. Like, can you come and check it out? So when the police get there, what they find is that these footprints are wet and they go all through the house. But there's no missing items. Nothing is missing.
I'm living somewhere else.
But what they find is this really weird, unidentified orange slime, and it's in multiple places.
Whoa!
And they sent it back to a lab, for analysis. And from what I understand, they couldn't figure out what this substance was. It was organic. It was organic, but they couldn't figure out what it was. So, I mean, this house, was near a river, and Kappa dwell in the river. So I don't know if maybe one just got curious, like, I wonder what's in here to eat. Or, could have been looking for a cucumber or somebody sitting on the toilet. Or
that sounds like a total legit, like
reason to move.
Like cryptid.
Reason to burn your house down and move. Start over with your 100-year-old stuff.
Well, even more so. Now this one seems more credible to me because it was witnessed by a group in Tokyo. There was a group of friends. They were all Japanese nationals, and they were just casually walking by the Sumida River. So the Sumida River, I think, goes all the way through Tokyo. It's a pretty big, wide river in places. So they're walking by the river and they hear a disturbance in the water, and they're thinking, like, oh, it must be like a crane or a big koi fish or something. So they all go over to the guardrail and they look, and they see a kappa, and they describe it in like really like detail, like
vivid detail.
Yeah, vivid detail. They say it had green scaly skin and a beak-like mouth. And it didn't seem to know that they were there watching it. It just popped above the water, kind of splashed around a bit, and then dove back in. And I've actually seen some footage from some flooding that happened in. It might have even been in the aftermath of the Tohoku earthquake and tsunami. But you see this news camera panning across all this destruction, and you just see something in the water that's like super duper fast.
Whoa.
And I mean, it like, I wish I could pull it up for you guys, but I mean, it just like shoots through the water. And I mean, they say these things swim like that. So maybe that's what it was.
Messy.
That's
the last one. The last one is a little bit of an older one. This happened in the 60s, but there was this fisherman. and he's walking home at night. It's a full moon out, so he can kind of see, where he's going. And as he's, walking by the river, he sees, a group of kids playing, out on the bank of the river. So, being a concerned, citizen of the community, he, kind of scolds them like, hey, your parents know you're out here, like you could fall in, like get your blankety blank back home. Right. Yeah. And they just kind of turn and look at him, and he notices that these aren't normal children. Like they have like really spindly arms. They have like a big head, and it looks like they have on like some kind of backpack or a shell. And they look at him, he looks at them, and they just scatter and jump into the water and swim away.
Whoa.
Yeah.
That's funny because so was this do you remember in this particular incident if the fisherman was that was just his trade, or
yeah, that was like his trade. Like he was a fisherman, and I guess he had tried to work. They say that there's some fish that can only be caught at night. So I'm guessing that he was out like pulling his nets and stuff. He was probably tired and pissed off to begin with. So he he's
so
walking
was it just
home.
him out doing his job? That was just him there?
It was just him going back home.
My gosh. Okay, I got to give you guys some context. You might already know this context, Austin, but yeah, I have to give context to Shelley for this. And for you listeners, you wonderful listeners. So in Chinese culture, like a super, super typical motif, not even just a legend, not even just a caricature, like a total motif in ancient Chinese folklore is the lone fisherman on the lake. That is so crazy that he's the only one out there. Now, in older poems, when Westerners first started looking at this kind of thing about the whole, lone fisherman thing, the understanding was that the fisherman was depressed, that he was all by his lonesome, that he was in. But the Chinese understanding is 180. The Chinese understanding is that this man is at peace. He is at peace with the world. He's at peace with nature. He's out on the serene area, enjoying his life, soaking up the what would we call it, the not the necessarily the oneness, but I mean you could call it that too, but the self-cultivation, right? The self-cultivation. He's just self-cultivating.
And that's like every fisherman I've ever known.
True, right? I mean, but a lot of these guys that are from the West as fishermen, they're just a little bit rougher, right? Like they're out on the high seas. Like that's kind of the mentality we have as Westerners. But in China, it's totally not like that at all. It's like this is a serene place. He's going to retreat to his cabin up on the mountain and convene with their spirits, right? But meditate and find peace and just kind of continue life that way. So the fact that this guy was out on the lake by himself, or river, or whatever you want to call it, and ran into these things is by no means like culturally or even spiritually coincidental. That is so wild. That's wild.
Yeah, I mean,
okay, so here are my questions.
Go. You got questions.
Go ahead.
All that I can think of, again, is Mario.
Yeah. I'm thinking of the reptilians, thing. Frankly. I'm thinking of reptilians is what I'm thinking.
What are the name of the turtley kind of baddish guys?
Koopas, right?
Koopa. Yep. Koopa Troopa.
Oh, Kappas.
But it's probably the same word just in Japanese, I imagine, right?
Well, it's weird because and I'm also a Nintendo fanboy. You can see by my Lavender Town t-shirt. Yeah. But basically, when Shigeru Miyamoto made these characters, he based Bowser, or King Koopa. He actually got that name from a Korean dish. So the name of that Korean dish was Kappa. So you had Kappa, King Kappa. And that kind of got transliterated into Koopa. And it's really more of a coincidence that these things
That's
are
interesting.
But,
I don't believe in coincidences.
Yeah, I know. I was going to say it was a quote unquote coincidence, right?
Yeah, I mean, dude didn't know what was going to happen with it, but somebody did.
Yeah. I mean, they're all planted ideas, right? Ultimately. But you know what is interesting, and I don't want to I do want to rabbit trail. I don't care. As long as Austin doesn't care.
Good, man.
What do you think it is about the Japanese that they always want to name characters in animes? They always want to name them after foods. Like everything is food.
I don't know. I'll believe that. Like just about every character in Dragon Ball has something to do with food.
And it's weird. They're categorical, right? So like all with the exception of Goku, right? Goku's the exception, but there's a very specific reason for that. Viewers, if you haven't watched that, you don't know that, you can go behind the paywall and we do a whole explanation of all that stuff. And I break down Dragon Ball Z for everybody. You can go watch that if you want to. But Goku is the Monkey King. So that's ultimately the big difference, right? Mm-hmm. But you have his son, Gohan, which is rice. Goten, which is you'll remember better than I can't remember what that one is.
I forget.
Shoot, I can't remember his name. Anyway, Vegeta. Is it what?
Said which character is Gojujung?
Goten is Gohan and Goten are both Goku's kids.
Gojujung. It's okay. It's a hot sauce ingredient.
Oh, I was like, what? And then Vegeta is literally like the transliteration for vegetable. Vegeta.
Yeah. Got Nappa, which is cabbage.
Nappa is cabbage. All of the Saiyans have food names. It's so weird, except for Trunks. Trunks is the ones out of the ordinary. Radish is Raditz. That's right.
That just sounds like somebody who is real hungry and not very clever with names.
Ravished. Yeah, I know. I don't know why they do it, but anyway.
I think like Bulma's family are named after like garments. Like you have like briefs, which are like underwear.
Oh, that's why it's Trunks. That's so funny.
And then
I know that the Namekians are all the Namekians are all named after musical instruments. That's why you have Piccolo, Cymbal. Oh man, I can't remember any of the other guys' names, but they're all musical instruments. It's hilarious. Yeah, it's hilarious.
It's definitely I love it, man. I can't get enough of it.
The freaking Japanese are so crazy, man. All right, man. Well, I don't want to. Oh, did you want to say anything else about the Kappa? I didn't want to know if we were going to miss anything there.
I'm good with the Kappa. Kappas are my favorites. You want to make me happy? Send me Kappa.
Let's definitely at least talk about the faceless people. I want to hear about that.
Yeah, so they are called.
Does that kind of like bleed over to Yude, like these ghostly spirits and stuff?
It can.
Okay, well, it's cool. I don't mind. It doesn't matter.
Yeah. Like, let's go ahead and talk about them. So the faceless people in Japanese are called the Noparabo.
Okay.
Or I guess that should be a longer. Noparabo.
Noparabo.
It translates literally to faceless monk.
Faceless monk.
Faceless monk. So basically what they are is, let's say you're in a crowd in like, I don't know, Walmart or Shibuya or somewhere like that, but you're just walking and you see somebody, and when you turn around and look at them, they have no face. That's basically what they are. They will usually appear to somebody with a face, and then they'll like dramatically like wipe it off and like, I guess, scare the crap out of you and send you running. They revel in that terror. Like their specific goal is to frighten people,
to freak you out.
Yeah, that's all they want to do.
Is this a recent belief, or is this like a?
It's hard to tell. There's not a lot of information about these guys.
Well, you know what this reminds me of? Well, first of all, I'll start with the fact that you say that their main purpose is to scare people. So that to me already sounds like you familiar with the concept of loosh? Yeah, you know that concept a little bit? It's cool. I'll break it down super quick. Yeah, it's not great. Loosh is essentially spiritual energy through sexual deviancy or through fright or through, especially fear, particularly fear. So that's the first thing that comes to mind. But the second thing that comes to mind is the recent phenomenon that we've been seeing of people believing that they're hallucinating or believing that they're seeing people's faces turned demonic. Do you know what I'm talking about? Do you remember this a few months ago?
I've
That
heard
this
about
was
that.
like
The
going
big
crazy.
smile faces.
Yeah, the creepy smile
elongated
face.
mouth.
Yeah.
That's what that reminds me of. That's what that first
Reminds
thing
me of the
comes to mind.
clown phenomena too, like where people were just randomly seeing these clowns for like
Really?
6 months.
Yeah, they're a clown demon. So
I hate clowns. Well, clowns.
them.
There's a
I
whole book.
do, and now I understand way more now that I realize that they are spirits.
Well, I've always hated clowns. Like I
have
freaking
too, like,
hate clowns. They
forever,
freak me
ever.
out.
Well, you know what that is? The uncanny valley is actually an adaptation. Early humans learned to fear something that looked human but wasn't.
Sure, makes sense.
Yeah, that's the fallen.
Yeah,
I mean, that's exactly what it is. They looked human and they weren't.
But also the fact, right, that who am I thinking of right now? Oh, well, there's a whole book that I saw Vicky post, and I think I saw, gosh, what's his name? Justin post, Shell. And it's literally a book about how the clown phenomenon has to do with Nephilim. Like that's the whole premise of the book.
Tony Merkel has a couple of episodes on that same
it's so
genre
creepy.
in the confessionals.
I hate that crap. I hate freaking clowns, man. And
I
they freak me out because they kind of random, super short anecdote that I'll share with you guys. When I was in Mexico and I was with, so the reason I moved to Mexico, just a super short, brief introduction for you, is I moved there to do missions work, but not the typical missions work. I went kind of my own accord, just trying to be obedient to the Lord. And I started a metal band there, and that's how we shared the gospel. So short story is over. I helped another buddy of mine who basically was, essentially, he just wanted to play a band, but he also kind of wanted to use it for ministry. And so I filled in for guitar for them for a while. And as we were on our way to or from the show we were going to, I can't remember, there was a clown that was in the subway, and it was like one of those deep subways. There's tons of people. I mean, we're in Mexico City. It's like one of the most populated cities on the earth.
I don't turn around and walk down another aisle.
Well, I hadn't seen the freaking clown. I didn't see him, but all my buddies knew that I hated clowns, so they freaking went out of their way to bring this guy, because he was working, like he gets on the subway and he's like, he'll make jokes or whatever. And they brought me to him and they were like, hey. And I just went like pale, like looked at him and I was like, what are you guys doing? Like, don't put this guy in front of me. I don't want to see this guy. And he just kind of smiled at me. He wasn't being rude or anything, he was just doing his thing.
He was doing his job.
Yeah. And my buddies were just being jerks. I was like, dude, nothing personal, bro, but I really don't want to see you. Like, I got to get out of here. Like, you're making me super uncomfortable. Like, I'm going to go.
I used to dress in mascot costumes when I was in college.
Yeah.
And I would dress up as like the Minions or Mickey Mouse, or sometimes I'd do like Darth Vader or, the really cool ones. But
I can stomach those easy.
Well, when I used to have to like put those on, you'd be surprised how many, like, because I used to do it at restaurants, like how many waitresses would be terrified and like wouldn't want to work the same shift. And like, it was
I absolutely get it, because it really is. I mean, I analyzed for years my fear of clowns, and
really
came to I abhor them. I have left places where there have been clowns.
Yeah,
I'll leave. It's
don't get involved in politics, Shell.
Yeah, no.
Clown world faux show. But it's that it has, there's the appearance of humanity, but something is twisted and often wrong.
Yeah.
And I get it. But then when I and maybe it was through Vicky's stuff, but I don't know, sometime in 2024, I began to realize, oh, this is a demonic phenomenon. Oh, now I get it. All makes sense to me. Perfect sense.
Yeah.
It does.
That's crazy.
Right? I am just like, and I've my whole entire life, I have never ever liked clowns. I don't like clown dolls. The only clown I like is the Baskin Robbins clown ice cream that they would do. That's it. And that's because the frosting was really good. And it's like, I hate clown stuff. Really don't like it.
Man, freaking clowns.
Mm.
All right, dude. So we talked about the faceless people. Was there anything else, or that's just kind of a more recent, or just kind of a random?
Oh, you
one?
know what? Hold on, because for the faceless people,
Mhm.
I'm going to give a shameless Doctor Who plug here. You guys need
Do
to
it.
go and watch the Doctor Who, I don't know what they call it, the new version of it. You know, bless you. There's the
Dr.
ones
New.
from the 60s and 70s, but then in the 2000s, there's a new one. In the very first episode, there are faceless people on it.
Oh,
And
that's
that's
lovely.
the kind of alien that it is. And they're like kind of plasticky, gesundheit. And it just, as soon as I saw that the faceless people was one of the choices, or one of the topics, that's exactly where my head went straight back to episode 1.
I'm
of
not
the
gonna
new
lie.
Doctor Who.
I'm not gonna lie. The only thing I think of when I hear faceless people is the Marilyn Manson song, but just change the lyrics. The faceless people. The faceless people. That's all I can think of in my head.
Well, like the legends, like there's a particular, kind of like folk legend. Like there was this guy, he was walking in a crowd and he saw one of these things. So he runs to, I guess a samurai or police officer, depending on what the time period was. And he says, I saw this. So then the samurai turns around. He too has no face. So freaks out and, runs. He's running. He goes and finds somebody else. And he sees that this person has a face. So he says, oh, thank God, like, look, I just saw this. And so the person looks at him and says, oh, you mean like this? And wipes their face off.
Oh.
So he runs again and he decides I need to go home. So he runs and he goes in there and he sees his wife and she's standing
has the face at home
at the kitchen sink, and he tells her what happened and she turns around and says, oh, you mean like this? And points, and she has no face. So they sometimes work in groups to get the maximum, fright.
Whoa.
Yep, that's Lucy.
You know what it sounds like to me? It straight up sounds like if I were in that situation, I would do what abductee victims do. Some of them, they just let loose and they punch Grace in the face, and they say it feels like jelly, like punching jelly, like it's so weird. Yeah, I know, it's super creepy.
So it's just another iteration of the same thing. Now, how many iterations of this have we talked about tonight? Again, it's demonic.
Oh, what a strange. Well, in particular with Japan, right? Just specifically for the reasons we just talked about. But even if you don't take into consideration that the likelihood or potentiality, at the bare minimum, that Japan didn't exist pre-flood, like their lore is creepy. It's creepy stuff.
It's crazy, and like even some of the stuff that's borrowed from China.
Yeah.
Like when it gets to Japan, by the time it gets into Japanese culture, it's twisted.
Yeah.
Like it is like freaking crazy.
Yeah. Yeah. Man, good stuff. Good stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, hey, I have to do extra praying tonight because this episode's heebie-jeebie.
You should do that. What do you guys call this in English? What is this? I can't remember what it's called in English.
What, the crossing ourselves?
Yeah, what's it called? But there's like a specific theological term for it, isn't there? Like we actually have a term in Spanish that literally means like the verb to do that. Like it's not even, we say persinarte, persinarse, which is, this, like that's literally what it means. I mean,
even it's so funny about that because, even before I was Anglican, when something would really annoy me or I would just be getting frustrated, I would just like do it. And now that I'm Anglican, it feels kind of weird because I used to do this for so long that now it's like it doesn't.
I'm allowed to do it.
You're like, dang it! It lost the effect.
Yeah,
that's funny, dude. Shelley, you wanted to talk about the teapot samurai.
Oh, dude, I totally want to hear about this teapot.
Tell me about that. Let's hear it, dude.
All right. So the teapot samurai, basically, there was this guy. Let me look him up real quick.
I'm a little teapot, so damn stout.
There was a guy named Toriyama Sekin, and
Toriyama.
he
Any
was
relation to the creator of Dragon Ball?
possibly, I don't know.
Oh
but
wow, okay.
he was an artist, and
Oh wow, okay.
he was he released 4 books from 1776 to 1784.
Oh well, that is iconic. It had to be 76,
Yeah.
didn't it?
Big time. But this was the height of the Edo period. This is when people wanted to be entertained. So he decided, I'm going to write this book, and I'm going to, go all throughout Japan. Government's paying for it. I'm going to,
oh wow,
I'm going to collect all the yokai, and I'm going to draw them in this, codex or this book, and, we're going to mass produce it. Well, it became so popular that they wanted him to do another one. So he goes and he, scrambles and he tries to find as many obscure yokai as he can. He releases it. It's a hit. They want a third one.
Oh, wow.
So eventually he just gets so fed up. He just starts making up his own. And one of the ones that he made up was the Teapot Samurai. And let me see, what's that thing's name? Seto Taisho. So yeah, it's basically just, there's a little picture in this book of this. It actually kind of looks like a Disney character, but
that's what it reminds me of. So many of these things, honestly, I'm like, oh, the things that get souls, and I think of the Magician's Apprentice.
Yeah.
And what's the other show that does it a lot? The King Arthur one from the 60s or 70s. It's not called Arthur. What is it called? Sword in the Stone.
Oh yeah.
All the things, come to life. It very reminiscent of the Magician's Apprentice in Fantasia. But so much of this is, as we're talking, I'm like, oh, like Disney did a version of this. And I know this sounds, when we first look at this and hear it, it's like, oh, no way, man, that's crazy. Wow, how weird. Well, but then there's a lot of association. Oh, I mean, yeah. I would not disagree.
Don't put it past them.
It just, there is a lot of correlation. I remember in, I don't know, one of my sociology classes, we had to read the story, a vignette. And so not very long, but I can read backwards. And so immediately I knew what it was, because they gave what it was spelled backwards. But they were doing a description of this room that you go into, and you open this magic box and you take out these potions and you utilize them for beauty or longevity and whatever. And there is a place where you can disrobe and wash yourself and whatever. And it's an American bathroom is what it is. And for me, it was very easy to get it, but I got where the writer was coming from. They were trying to make it sound this thing that we're all extremely familiar with, make it seem foreign.
Yeah.
And that's what this is it sounds very foreign at first, but then it's like, oh, wait a minute. Oh, so that's like that. Oh, so that thing is this thing. It's like the Dora Tabo. It very much
sounds like a golem.
Is a golem.
Yeah, it does.
Like it just boom right there, and when the teapot, the samurai in the teapot, that's exactly what it made me think of. Is in my brain, I was seeing tempests in teapots and thinking of the little, it's a small world teapot thing going on. And like so much of this, the faceless people. Oh yeah. You know, the Whovians are very familiar with this concept.
Hmm.
We get it. It's sci-fi. You know, it's presented as sci-fi, or it's presented as whimsical fantasy, and so we can swallow it easier in Western culture because it is given to us in the dishes that we're used to
Yeah.
using to consume. And so
Familiar
these
morsels, right?
right, these are the same things. They're just presented somewhat differently. And so uh, on the surface, we're like, oh, that's so weird. And then as soon as you start looking, you see, oh, I
That's
heard that
not that
story
weird at all.
before. It's like that story that if you do this thing, if you follow me, you can ascend to your better self, your higher self, godhood. You know what? I remember that pickup line from a garden somewhere, you know,
Mhm.
and
It's
then
the same story
it
all
it's
throughout
the
history.
same story, just with slightly different window dressing served on
Yeah.
slightly
Yeah.
different dishes with chopsticks instead of a fork.
Right.
And we're like, oh, what is this new morsel? It's the same thing you've always been fed.
Yeah. You know, there was something that I was going to mention, and this is food for thought. I don't know that, again, we're kind of spitballing here. I feel pretty strongly about, I just don't, it's one of those things where I feel strongly about what I told you about Japan and its formation, but there's no way. I mean, I don't have any scientific data right now to be like, oh, that's, I'm not going to do any of that. It's supposition. I get it.
Well,
But
and in the end, it doesn't matter a whole lot.
no, well, it doesn't, but I do want to propose something that I think might be apropos for this situation. Um,
Uh-huh.
if indeed that is the fact, and that was the historical formation of Japan, it would also stand to reason that not only is there more interaction with the darkness, right, but also it would seem that they would probably have better access to the earth
Yep.
than they would in other places too. Like because we talked with Vicky about this. She's the one that that we
They
get the
only
term
come out
from,
at
about
night.
Loosh and about all these
Ricky
concepts
Joy
about
Anderson.
yeah, Vicky Joy Anderson. Great, you should totally follow her, listen to her. She's
Heck
amazing.
yeah.
Freaking brilliant too, dude. She writes like a scholar,
She's so bad, eh? All
yeah, she really
around,
is. Anyway,
man.
she so we were talking about that, and I asked her a question, and she was like, you're spot on with it. I asked her, Vicky, is it the case in your opinion, because it seems to be mine, that after the Watchers came down originally, right? Is it the case that it became incumbent on man to initiate more of these interactions, or the bulk of these interactions, right? Than
Right.
vice versa, because after the Watchers did what they did, they saw the clear consequence of what would happen for them initiating the sin. We'll just call it the sin. That's what it is, right?
Right.
Yeah.
So we had to initiate those things, and that's why we have these secret societies and these occultic things and all these rituals and all that stuff, right?
Right.
But it seems to me that Japan, if given its history, if it came from the depths, they would have more right to come up out of the depths a
Yep.
lot easier.
Yep.
I don't know. It's just my
I
thought.
would agree with that, because, like I said, you've got like Mount Osore, that's Mount Fear, Gateway to Hell. It's
wild.
actually several places.
We talked
in
about
Japan.
that last time, didn't we? About that it's really difficult to hike up there and everything.
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's extremely difficult, but I mean, there's other places in Japan that the Buddhist monks and the Shinto priests,
Yeah.
consider it to be really bad
Holy
places,
sites.
If-
I see. Unholy
like
sites.
gateways to hell.
Oh wow.
Like places
if
you want
that's
to
your
stay away.
premise, though, then things like the Hawaiian Islands,
Could be.
The Hawaiian Islands are spiritually charged too.
Super.
Big
they
time.
are
Super
Big
super.
time.
Maori Easter Island.
Yep.
Then there should be similar
occurrences on
Yeah.
islands. Well, but
I mean, and I'm not
Yeah,
saying it
yeah.
couldn't be. I'm saying, but that's what this
Well, it would-
premise where it would go.
True, very true. And you also must ask yourself, for that, because you're very right. That's the case. But we also have to ask then, okay, are these breakaway islands or are they formation islands? That's
Well,
very
in
important too.
particular, we know that Hawaii
Yeah,
are
it sure is.
formation islands.
It sure is. It sure is.
So, I
And
don't
there's smaller
know
islands
that
that way,
about
too.
like the Solomon Islands or the Philippines. I don't know,
No, I don't
but
either.
there may be something
Lurking.
to that idea anyhow.
Yeah.
I mean, and again, I'm theorizing. I'm not
Yeah, well, we all are. I mean,
positing
I'm not
it.
telling
I
you that I
don't
know
know,
that.
but that's where logic would dictate
Yeah.
that you step to next.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
Hey, do you want to cover anything else, Austin?
I think I've pretty much covered everything that I sent to you talking about.
Good
of course,
chat, dude.
we kind of hit the ones that are lesser known, and kind of got a good sense of just how widespread this yokai
Diverse.
phenomenon is.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, I'm very
For not
surprised.
bringing up the bathroom liquor, I do appreciate
Dang it.
That is the grossest.
Dang
we
it.
did forget about the bathroom liquor. It's exactly what it sounds like, y'all. It's exactly what it sounds like.
Hey, I do have a question.
Yeah.
With regards to that, we wouldn't even go into that, but I've been watching. Maybe it's just because it's a weird anime, but I noticed this obsession with tongues. What's the deal with that? Do you have any insight to that in Japanese culture?
Um,
I mean, other than
not-
sexually
not-
explicit, I mean,
well, I mean, that was where I was thinking.
Hmm.
It's the not necessarily in Japanese culture. I think it's just the strange flesh, that's talked about in the Book of Jude. The unnatural desire.
well, I know this sounds bad, but I mean, when it comes to sexual perversion, right? Like every orifice is going to be like one that wants to get used, right? I know that sounds gross, but it is what it is.
I mean, it is gross.
Yeah,
it is gross.
Well, I mean, Japan, some of the stuff that comes out of there, like with hentai and God knows what else.
Actually,
cuteness.
yeah, well, yeah, and then also, well,
hate
you
that.
talked about that. I had not even considered. You want to share that with? I think that Austin will appreciate that concept, Shell, that you kind of pointed to.
What, the whole cuteness thing?
Yeah,
It's such an abomination to me. It's just setting people up for the normalization of pedophilia.
Yeah, you're talking about like the lolicon and type stuff.
All their girls look like they're 12, but
I can't get behind
way too endowed, and the skirts are so. I mean, even like Sailor Moon. I mean, here you go, guys. There's my extent of anime.
well, it's not lost on us. I mean, it makes perfect sense. That's a classic. Everybody knows it.
Oh yeah,
it's like that. It's so repugnant for me. I don't have words, but it's such a big thing, and it seems like that began. Well, I don't know. It has so much traction in Japanese entertainment, and I wouldn't know Japanese from Chinese from Korean, to be really honest. Now the foods, I can tell you the difference.
Sure.
Entertainment I cannot, because it just, I don't know.
Yeah, it requires a level of familiarity. It makes sense.
It does. And really, like to kind of go along with what you're talking about, Shelley, I know that the one of the trends that really disturbs me in Japanese culture is the fetishization of the school uniform.
Mm.
Right.
I mean, that is
right.
huge.
Yep. Nope. Right.
Huge
Exactly.
fetish. And it's disgusting, because if a girl is wearing that, she is underage. Like
Right.
She is in school.
Right. It's bothersome, but in Japanese culture, things that we consider to be lewd or perverted is much of the time not really considered that way in their culture. It's odd, but it's just the way it is.
Yeah.
Like I know for the longest time they would get, around, censorship and stuff by, turning parts into fish and robots and, things like that. Like, I mean, there's a really weird evolution to this stuff.
Yeah.
It all ties back to strange flesh.
It really does. And the goal is to feed perversion.
Yeah.
It 100% is.
Yeah. Yeah.
And to normalize perversion.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, you look at who's upset about, the Trump election,
Yeah.
Exactly. Nope. I was thinking in a similar vein.
I mean, I don't hate anybody, I've never have,
I don't have to hate people, but I can certainly hate behavior.
Sure.
I absolutely hate behavior.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely.
Big time. And, it's just, it's some things it's like I was telling my wife the other day, I don't want to see a straight couple, making out in public.
Sure.
I would, tell them to, take it
around,
knock it off.
Right.
Yeah.
Just as fast as I would, a homosexual gay couple.
Right.
But if I went up to them and said, hey, like there are children here, like you need to,
then it
that
becomes
elsewhere.
a political thing.
Yeah, then it's political. It's ridiculous.
Well, and that's the thing. That's because it happened by little steps. Yep. Oh, we were being tolerant. We were being compassionate. We were being, whatever, fill in the blank.
Right.
And then this is where we get to, and that's exactly what I see a lot of that. What did you call it? I call it cuteness.
Lolicon. Yeah.
Yeah.
Ugh, just even that name,
well, it's appropriate, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it is little steps, and then it's acceptable, and
that's all it takes.
Yeah.
I hate it so very much, and I don't know. And it as an American, we have this weird puritanical background.
Yeah, exactly.
That makes us dumb when it comes to sex.
Yeah.
But at the same time, we have such a lascivious society that we sell toothpaste with boobies. Sorry, but it's the truth of the matter.
No, yeah.
But God forbid you see a child's bum because everybody's got a derriere. But no, we can't see a child's behind. The sensors are going to flip out.
Right.
Our body imaging is so skewed.
Yeah, agreed.
In so much of the world.
Well, here's what I, told a coworker, not that long ago. I consider myself, to be sex positive, but I'm sex positive within its proper
parameters.
Sure,
absolutely.
Me
marriage.
Too.
God made it to be really great. Don't think so. Read Song of Songs.
Exactly, and this is one of the things that I agree, with Augustine and some of the church fathers on, they thought that all sex was sinful. But the problem with that is sex existed before the fall of man.
Right.
It was the first, commandment given by God.
It's institutional.
It's
completely institutional.
Exactly. And I mean,
which stands to reason why the enemy comes against it so hard.
Right.
Yeah. Because it is something, sex in the proper confines is the closest we get to getting to God.
Yeah.
It is the
exactly
closest. Right. And that's why worship of God is like sex. Sex is a participatory action.
Endeavor,
It is
yeah.
not. It is not a what's that word? Spectator sport. Worship
Right.
is the same way. That's why when people watch worship, they're uncomfortable with it because it's an intimate act, just like intercourse is. It's an intimate act between you and God. When you are participating in it, it's mind-blowing. It's phenomenal. But when you're watching it, it's just weird.
Well, I've been critiqued before, especially, when I was, SBC, because, like when I would be in the worship service, like everybody, would have their hands raised and, like on their knees and stuff. But I've always been a bit more somber, like, and if that's the way you worship, all power to you.
Right. If you're
that.
getting into the secret place of the Most High, it doesn't matter if you stand there, if you lay there on your face, if you giggle, if you cry, if you're silent,
Right.
it does not matter.
I would always just kind of have my head bowed and, I would listen to the words, but I would pray as I was listening. Yeah. And, for some of the senior pastors at this SBC church, that was a problem because, it didn't fit their look. And it's like, look, I'm not here to play pretend. This is not theater to me. This is, and that's one of the reasons I'm Anglican. I mean, some of this stuff in mainline evangelicalism has just gone so far off the rails.
Well, right.
It doesn't even resemble Christianity.
Yeah, no, it's both ways, dude. It's both ways. Like you can't be thinking of the movie. You never go full. I'm not going to say it. But it's like that with cessationists, right? Like, I grew up in a cessationist church, dude. Like, I was just talking about that with my wife today, and so that's my perspective. That's probably why I do a podcast like this, because I'm so sick of it. I'm so sick of it. Yes. But the other is true too, right? You don't want to have charismania either. Like, you don't want to just have sense. And my wife was talking about this. She
experience.
She with that's exactly
no
right.
Experience, and it can't be all experience.
My wife was talking about when her parents were growing up, and actually when she was young in church, and she I think she went to the first Assemblies of God church that ever came to Mexico. But that, I mean, it was very spirit filled. It was very, just move of the spirit and stuff like that. And there was tons of miracles, like casting demons out and all sorts of stuff. I mean, I was just, she's like, that was commonplace. She's like, but I never had a class about spirituality, and you can't have that. Like, you have to have sensical understanding of what you're doing, right? Like, both sides are important.
Yeah.
Ricky, have I ever told you the story about what happened to me at the Anglican conference in Europe?
I think you mentioned it, but I by all means, share it.
So, and I preface this by saying, don't ever, look at a denomination or, a sect and think that, oh, well, they believe this, they believe that.
Sure.
Because when I became Anglican, that was, a concern of mine, because I believe, in the spiritual gifts. I believe in miracles and healing and things like that.
Right.
But I was concerned, what does this tradition that I feel called to in the ACNA, what's their stance on it?
Yeah.
And well, the answer is, you have some that are charismatic, you have some that aren't as charismatic.
Right.
But when I was in Europe,
Catholic church too.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Like, I mean, it's the same way. Like, I'm ecumenical. I'm as ecumenical as you can be. But I just remember I was at this conference, and golly, this could rabbit trail like crazy. But to make a long, well, here's the thing.
Here's the deal. Pause real quick before you continue.
Yeah,
you can do this. All the stuff I don't think is. I've just decided this from now on. Like, what I'm saying right now is not going to go into the regular podcast, but I'm going to put this on there for our subscriber listeners. So if this, rabbit trails, or you feel like it's, whatever, like, we'll just take it out and we can let the other listeners listen to it. By all means, dude. Yeah. Don't worry about it. Take as long as you want.
So basically, like you guys, I told you about, my experience, with being rejected from, all these ministries.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's like I felt so strongly, that like God wanted me, like doing something.
Yeah.
But I was being cast out constantly.
We get that 1,000% because that's
Yeah.
basically where Shelley and I are. That's where we've always existed. Totally with you, man.
I would just keep getting cast out. And I mean, like in Japan, like there was this guy that was a mentor of mine. I thought the world of this dude. And like when, I came back from, my short vision trip, like just some of the stuff like that, he was saying about me and to me, was just absolutely heartbreaking. And I still don't have like that relationship will never be repaired. Certainly. Like I forgive him and all, but I mean, like, let's be real. That relationship will never.
There's no trust there.
Right.
No, it will never be. But it's a spiritual thing. And when I went on this trip to Europe, I'm not sure if I can disclose the actual location because we have so
whatever you feel comfortable with, buddy.
Missionaries, but we had a soak-in prayer service one of the nights that we were at this conference, and the leaders of this soak-in prayer were very spiritual, a sweet elderly couple, and they were you could feel the Holy Spirit on them. So we go up and we ask them for prayer. I mean, like this is in the front of the room, like other people are doing their prayers. You guys know what soak-in prayer is, I'm sure.
I'm assuming it's just basking in prayer and really kind of, right? I mean,
meditating, soft music playing, stuff like that.
Just allowing for the Spirit to move and to speak to him. Yep.
Yeah. So we're doing that. And my wife says, like, I've got a question. Is there like maybe a spirit of rejection or something? And like when I heard her ask that, it was like a switch flipped in me, and I can remember it, but the best way I can describe it, y'all, is like I was a Bluetooth speaker, but somebody else had the phone because the noises that I started making, like they said it sounded like rattlesnakes, like 4, 5, 6 rattlesnakes at one time, just like hissing.
Whoa.
And the voice that came out of me, from what I was told a few weeks later when I followed up, with my bishop and, a couple of people that witnessed it, there was a criminal profiler that was there. She was a missionary now, but she had formerly been in criminal justice, and she was used to recognizing like voices on like audio tapes and things like that. And she said there's no way that those voices were coming out of me. Like just based on, the structure of my
Sure. Yeah, I get it.
It was no way, but this thing was just like barking and like yelling, like, like, no, we were promised him, he's ours.
Wow.
And, like finally, like my bishop, like got behind me and like put the cross on me. And this thing just went ballistic. And they cast this thing out of me, and it was a spirit of rejection. Now, keep in mind, I'm trying to make a good impression on these people. I want to join their organization, and I literally just got delivered from something that I didn't even know was there. So I'm embarrassed, like I'm crying because I'm like, there's no way they're going to accept me now. Well, the opposite was true. I'm still, in fellowship with a lot of these people. I'm not a part of their organization yet because I still got to get through school and do some stuff. But I have a good feeling that one day I will be. But anyway, I go back to the room because we're staying in a really high dollar place right on the Mediterranean Sea.
Oh, wow.
And I'm like, I'm crying. I'm trying to figure this out. Like, what led to this spirit of rejection being put on me? Well, that night, let me back up for a minute. When I was in middle school in particular, I was bullied severely. And when I say, like bullied, I don't mean just, like, you get your shoes from Walmart, like that kind of stuff I can handle, like, your upper lip, your mama, stuff like that.
Right.
But there was this one kid in particular that his whole thing was, I hate you. Everybody hates you. I hope you die. Like, just like really malicious stuff. And he was, the typical, like teen angst, I worship Satan, stuff like that. And his girlfriend was all into Wicca and stuff like that. Well, I hadn't thought about these individuals in probably 10, 12 years.
Sure, dude.
And that night, God revealed to me that those two, this guy and his girlfriend, had placed that spirit of rejection on me because they wanted it to ultimately lead me to kill myself. And it could not abide in that environment. Now, why the Lord allowed it to be there, I don't know the answer to that. I mean, I have as Trump would say, I have a concept of an idea, but it was powerful, to be delivered from something like that,
right?
And still have people, accept you, and like a lot.
Well, and that's how the church is supposed to be.
Correct.
It's a hospital.
Well, but it's sort of like what you had talked about, Shelley. First of all, thank you for sharing, dude. That's so powerful, and that's very cool. And praise God that He is good and works through our weak idealistic ways. Like I could care less if you're Anglican or you're
whatever.
I would care if you were cessationist.
But denominations are the opposite of what Christ
titles,
wants,
right?
us.
And so, and I think that it's
well,
what Shelley just said.
They're more than titles. They're separating.
They're inhibitors,
things.
right?
They're the opposite of what Christ prayed over us.
Let me give a shout out, to my morning church, that I attend. My church, Stone Creek, is
nice.
Non-denominational. And there are people in there that align more with, my liturgical views.
Sure.
There are people who were raised Orthodox, raised Catholic, Southern Baptists, Lutherans, and we all worship the Lord. And the pastor is just so he's awesome. Like he's actually on the Shy Guy page. You'll see him comment. But I mean, like he's the real deal. And to me, that feels like the church that Christ
is, man. Well, is what Shelley was just saying a little while ago is that what were you comparing it to just a bit ago, Shell? I'm trying to remember. You made a comparison, not about the church, but I mean, essentially, well, doesn't matter. Essentially, what I'm trying to say is that the church itself, the fact that they responded the way they did is the correct response. And that's what it was. We have such a puritanical view, or we have such a assembly line view of what the church is, that when we're confronted with the real church, the real ecclesia, it's like, whoa, what is going on here, right? Like my wife and I were just talking about this. We were just talking about this today. I finally got it to, I think my wife really finally got it. Like I drove it home for her. I was talking about reading the Testament of Solomon, and like why I'm reading it and stuff like that, because the other two books associated with it are considered grimoires. Okay. Yep. And so I haven't read those grimoires. I don't own them. I may read them at some point, but right now,
your house,
exactly.
You get PDFs of them online.
Yeah, exactly.
Glance through them.
Yeah. And so I'm reading the Testament of Solomon, right? And so I started talking to her about all this stuff. And I don't know if you saw the post that I made today, but the post was essentially like, it was literally in my Bible. This commentator was like, these people that were mouthpieces pretending to speak for the dead. And I was like, the crap are you talking about? Yeah. Like,
I hate that.
Yeah. And it's propaganda is what it is,
Living.
Dude. Yeah. Well, it was actually a KJV, but it's my chronological Bible. That's why I'm using it, because it's chronological. But I read the commentary because there's good, solid stuff in there. Like, this is historical. This is what happened. These are cultural beliefs. And that's fine. But don't tell me, that all these spiritual aspects don't exist. Don't tell me that. Don't tell me that. I mean, that's what the modern church already does. And that's why people like yourself, people like me, people like Shelley, that's why we all feel completely rejected in the ecclesia. Like we don't belong there. Like we don't have a place there. And nobody, frankly, nobody knows what to do with us. Right. Well, yeah, of course you don't know.
You know how I feel, and I need to make a meme about this. But like, what's that song? I'm a creep. I'm a weirdo. Like that's literally what I feel.
Right.
In some of these churches, but I can say, and this is really the last thing I want to say about my whole situation. But when I went with the organization that cast me out, it felt like, okay, we brought you here and you proved us that you belong. It was that kind of attitude. But now when I went to Europe with the Anglican group, it was like, oh, you're here with us. Oh yeah, we accept you. I hope you accept us too. That's the difference.
We're all a bunch of misfits, and that's the thing is that none of us fits. No, we're not supposed to fit. We've all sinned and fallen short of the glory of God. Our just desert is hell and damnation.
Yeah.
And the beautiful thing about Christ is that he takes all these misfits and he says, this is my body. This is worth dying for. You are worth dying for. The world says you're a misfit, and he says you're a perfect fit. Let me show you. And the church, when we don't get that, we do such a disservice to the cross and to the gospel.
Yeah.
It's just like that breaks my heart. And when we have this, oh, you don't belong to the same club that I do. Oh, you're not going to make it to heaven. Man, how many Catholics are going to be surprised by Baptists, and how many Pentecostals are going to be surprised by everybody else?
I think the best thing you've said that I've heard that I've been editing that stupid episode forever, but you said it, and you continue to say it, and I love it. I think it's great. Is people, a ton of Christians are going to be like so thrown back in their rockers when they realize how Jewish heaven is. It's so freaking Jewish, right? Like it's probably offensively Jewish to a lot of people.
I'm sure.
Sorry, God chose the people, not you and me, man.
It belongs to Yahweh, like that culture, that Jewish culture, it's been perverted, sure, because fallen humans, but God instituted that.
Yeah, man.
And there are certain things, Sukkot is going to be celebrated in the new heaven and the new earth. So is
time immemorial.
Well, that's Passover.
Pasach.
It will be always celebrated. Always. God didn't say there will be an end to it. He said it will always be celebrated. But in Zacharias, I think it is, he specifically tells us that people will come from the nations to Jerusalem to participate in the Feast of the Tabernacles in Sukkot. And if you don't, then you have to pay a restitution. And I don't know why. I do know why, because most people really, really have not read the whole Bible, and most people don't spend time
digging in it. They don't, and it's so obvious. It's so Jewish. All of the prophecy about the new heavens and the new earth, it's categorically Jewish. There is no getting. It's not even Jewish. It's Israelitis. And I know because we say Jewish, and Jewish literally is from the tribe of Judah. Judahites, right?
And that's different. There are other tribes. It would be better to say it is Hebrew. It will be Hebrew. It'll be Hebrew through and through, as our Savior is Hebrew through and through.
And I'm going to leave you with this last. I'm just going to read this straight off. I told my wife this today. It's super short, that I think you'll enjoy it. This is straight from Michael Heiser's Unseen Realm, chapter 27, standing in the council. Let's face it. Few Bible readers know much about the prophets, who, after the conquest, take a backseat to David, Solomon, and maybe a couple of the judges. The average Christian reads the prophetic material only when the pastor needs a good sermon on sin or judgment. The prophets are a bunch of wild-eyed doom and gloom fanatics. The caricature is not completely without foundation, but it fails to accurately communicate who the prophets were, why God raised them up, and what their mission was. There is a distinct pattern to Yahweh's sovereign choice of human leaders, a pattern that includes the divine council. That's what it is, man.
Yep.
It's good.
All right.
Yeah.
Let's get out of here.
Prophets by definition make people uncomfortable, except for,
Right.
you know, the modern idea of a prophet.
The Lord told me. So
Yeah.
It supersedes the Bible.
let's let Austin get out of here. Poor guy. It's almost 12 o'clock his time. So
No kidding.
all right. Shell, give the Aaronic blessing.
The Lord bless you and keep you. The Lord make his face shine upon you and be gracious to you. The Lord turn his countenance towards you and give you peace, that perfect peace.
Amen. God bless. Shalom, shalom. And Maranatha.
Guys.
We love you guys.
Yes, guys. Love you
Thank
too,
you.
bud.
Thanks for coming on, Austin. Appreciate you, bro. Thank you for watching this episode of the Christian Theological Dark Web podcast. For all questions, collabs, or comments, contact us at solo.to/the CTDW or the Christian Theological Dark Web at gmail.com. To become a special access member or support our ministry, sign up on Spotify or Patreon. This has been another Four Dragons production from the CTDW. God bless, shalom, shalom, and Maranatha. Come, Lord Jesus.